Richie,
And I'm Portia West.
and welcome to All Things EGOT. And on today's show, we are going to do a recap of the Tony Awards with theater critic Gage Tarlton. Plus, we will talk to fashion critic Patrick Mayze about the fashion hits and misses on the red carpet of the Tony Awards.
Okay, let's cut to the chase and welcome Gage. How are you, Gage?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me again, Maurie and Portia.
You are more than great. You did well with your Tony prediction. 7 out of 11. Remarkable. Tell me how you did it.
I follow a lot of prediction type websites, and I was following along with the campaigning that all of the actors and the directors and the creative teams were doing with their shows. I did take a few swings that did not pay off. I did think that Josh Groban and Jessica Chastain, just because of their celebrity, would pull out a win there. But they went with the better performances in those categories with Jay Harrison G and Jodie Comer, who is now one step closer to an EGOT. Now has an Emmy and a Tony. She's halfway there.
That is awesome. Tell me about your surprises. What surprised you out of all the Tonys? What stood out like, wow, I didn't think they were going to win?
I definitely was surprised by Miriam Silverman in The Sign in Sidney Brustein's Window. I saw that production at BAM back in February in Brooklyn, and they moved the show to Broadway, I think 2 days before Tony voting closed. So they really got in there right in the nick of time to be able to be eligible this year. And her performance, I was predicted her and I was pulling for her. I did not think she was going to pull it off. So I was screaming in my living room when she won. I was so excited for her to win. She was performing an incredible role in Lorraine Hansberry's last play in The Sign in Sidney Brustein's Window, which is just a phenomenal piece of work. It was incredible. I'm so glad she won. She's very well respected in the New York theater community. So I'm always loving when I see somebody who's paid their dues win a big award like this.
What did you think of the opening? We all know that the writer's strike is still taking place, and we know that the writers are very instrumental with the opening and a lot of the banter that takes place throughout the show. So what were your thoughts about the opening?
I actually really enjoyed the opening. I liked the emphasis on the dancers because I feel like the dancers don't usually get their due. You know, a lot of people are focused on the actors and the singers who act, the actors who sing. A lot of dancers don't get to show off their skills and talents in that way. So I thought it was a perfect, in lieu of the writer's strike, it was a perfect opportunity to show off the skills of a lot of the dancers that are on Broadway. I thought it was really entertaining. I thought that Ariana DeBose, despite not having a script, did a phenomenal job winging it, as she said. I really enjoyed the opening, and even though I wish that we had the writers and I wish that they would come to a deal to be able to continue writing, I liked that the pace of it was a lot quicker, because I feel like sometimes a lot of those bits don't always land. So I thought that it kept the energy going, just focusing on the awards, focusing on the performances, and just keeping it moving.
Speaking of keeping it moving, what about Kimberly Akimbo and those? She won 5. Was it 5 awards?
5 awards. Kimberly Akimbo won a lot. Kimberly won 5 and Leopold Stout won 4 in the play categories. I wasn't too surprised, just because I was kind of expecting that play and that musical to. If anything, I was surprised they didn't win more. Specifically Kimberly Akimbo. I thought that maybe it had a chance to get featured actor, but Alex Newell took that one, deservedly so. But I thought that maybe it would sweep a little bit more. I actually really liked that they decided to spread the wealth a little bit. They decided to give almost every musical kind of got something, which I really appreciated.
Speaking of Kimberly Akimbo, I thought it was great that Victoria Clark won the Tony Award, because to play that type of role where a performer is asked to age, a span of time, you normally see someone younger that does that type of performance, but to see someone a little bit older I'm not ageist, but I'm just saying to see someone a little bit older do that and pull it off, because I had not seen the show, but I appreciated seeing the performance. And for a while, I really bought that she was in high school. And I was very happy that she won, because I don't think you see those type of performances when it's someone older playing someone younger, advancing their age throughout their performance. So I thought that was great that she won.
That's a testament to the and recognition that should be given also to wardrobe and makeup, all those people behind the scenes. I'm glad they're also recognized as well at the Tonys. We only talk about who we see, but we have to also realize all the people are involved in the crew and the production that make these things happen.
That is true. That is very true. And I love to hear when people are giving their speeches, they're acknowledging all those unsung heroes, people behind the scenes. So that you are 100% correct as always, Portia, with that point. Gage, are there any points of the show where you went, they could have cut this, or I really wasn't happy with this win? Any points like that?
I know that Sean Hayes is very well respected in the theater community and the television community from his performance on Will and Grace. A lot of people love him. I like him as well, but I was really disappointed that Stephen McKinley Henderson did not get his dues by winning lead actor in a play. I predicted him. I really thought that he had it in the bag. He's been working for so long. I thought that, and his turn in Between Riverside and Crazy, I mean, people loved that performance. It's such a staple performance. That's from a Pulitzer Prize winning play. It's a great role. I thought that this was going to be his time. I was a little disappointed to not see him finally get up on that stage and give an acceptance speech. I was really looking forward to that, and that did not happen, unfortunately.
I think he's one of those people that people recognize and kind of take for granted that, oh yeah, he's always good. He always gives a great performance, whether stage or screen. But it was nice, to your point, it was nice to see him get nominated. And I was rooting for him too. So there was kind of like the burst balloon effect that at least that I felt. It was like, oh, but
yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things where you're so right. He's so well known and people recognize him from a lot. He was in Dune last year. And I think people think that he does have all of these major awards, but he has never won a Tony before. I don't think he's won any of the 4 major awards before, Oscar, Emmy, Tony, or Grammy. I think that people think that he has because he's in everything. Everybody knows him, but he's never gotten that big moment before. So I was hoping that would happen. And I was sad to see that it didn't.
one of the things that was very exciting about the Tony Awards this year was the history making moment. Not one, but 2 non-binary performers won Tony Awards. Alex Newell of Shucked and Jay Harrison G of Some Like It Hot.
Well, you have any final thoughts, any trivia or anything that might, so much, things we don't know. So anything that you want to share about the Tonys that we may have overlooked or that stood out, your final thoughts, or dare I say predictions for next year, who some of those front runners might be.
I definitely want to point out that LaShawns, who won a Tony several years ago for originating the role of Celie in The Color Purple, she won 2 Tony Awards last night for producing Kimberly Akimbo, Best Musical, and also producing Top Dog Underdog, which won Best Revival of a Play. And if I don't know if I might be mistaken on this, but I believe this was her first season producing. So for someone to transition from acting into their first season producing and to win 2 Tony Awards for that, extremely impressive for her. She has a real eye for what works on a stage. So I was so excited for her there. And in terms of what I'm predicting for next year, that Merrily We Roll Along revival is transferring from New York Theater Workshop. People absolutely loved it. So critically acclaimed. It's moving to Broadway this fall. I think that we're going to see another Sondheim show getting a lot of love next year.
Wow. Thank you so much, Gage. Thank you for joining us. You are so insightful as usual. Maury?
Thank you for having me.
And Gage, if we are planning to come to New York, we will reach out to you to get your recommendations on plays and musicals to see. So that count on that.
Thank you so much. I love doing this. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Joining us again is fashion critic Patrick Mayze to give us his hits and misses from the Tony red carpet. Hi, Patrick. Good to see you again.
Hi, Portia. It's good to see you again as well.
Much to talk about. I looked at the red carpet. Lots of prints there this year and lots of sparkles, and the men did their thing too. You tell me your first, let's start with the hits. Who made a hit for you? Those three people that made a hit for you on the carpet.
Well, I will start with first, Nikki Crawford. She was wearing Dolce & Gabbana. It was this chocolate halter sequin gown. It was beautiful. It was like, she was like chocolate diamonds walking in. And then it was a classical design too. It was a halter dress. And it was just beautiful. It just went well with her skin. And it was the right length. It wasn't, too long. Some of these people come in with these long trains, was just over exaggerated. But she was perfection. Perfection.
And next on your list?
Next on my list was Anna Lee Ashford. She was wearing Oscar de la Renta. It was this strapless bodice, and it was midnight blue with a tulle skirt with gold coin sequins dripped all over the dress. Beautiful. It was just gorgeous. For a right length, everything, just perfection again as well. Perfection again as well.
And third but not last, who was great, who looked great.
Ariana DeBose. She was beautiful. She had this Prada dress on, and it was strapless.
Is that the silver one?
Yeah, it was like a combination of like white, silver, and gray, but it was just absolutely beautiful. It was sleeveless, and then it had a deep V neckline that was accented in silver accents. But it was, again, and she had a ponytail, it was pulled back, beautiful. It just was just radiant. I
agree with you, that classic look, yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
All right, now it's time for the rough stuff. Tell me who made that miss list. Who's just quite didn't get it right?
I hate this part.
That's the fun part. But no, it's good. But perhaps someone will be inspired to not repeat themselves next year on the carpet.
Let's hope so, because first on my list is Leah Michelle. And she was wearing Emilia Wickstead, and it was a very simple white scoop neck dress, but it looked like it was splattered with blood.
Yeah, that's what just like, what is this? I'm like, yeah. I had to take a double look. Are those supposed to be flowers? It just didn't look right. It wasn't classy or elegant.
And then the flowers looked like splatters of blood. It was something happened there. And Emilia Wickstead is a very good designer. I just felt bad that this had to be her debut at the Tony Awards with that. Because that was
looking like a victim.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, she looked like someone out of Carrie at the end of the show. Like Carrie was standing there with all this blood on her dress. It was just horrible. Just horrible.
Okay. Who's number two?
Number two is Julia Lester. She was wearing Batsheva. This was just a tragedy. And I kid you not, she looked like she was going to have tea with Scarlett O'Hara. This was a young girl. This was her first time being nominated. And she bought it herself offline. That was Batsheva.
That explains a lot. And I think she took a couple of missteps on the makeup too. It just looked plain, like you said,
She just looked like she was in the 18th century. Like she was going to go have tea with Scarlett O'Hara. It just
a parasol.
Yeah, it was horrible. And she's a young girl. She's like in her early 20s, and this is her first time being nominated. And she decided to wear that. I mean, it's just like Gone with the Wind. Not in a good way either. So.
Who else made the miss list? Who missed the mark?
Julianne Hough.
Hmm.
She was
Why?
wearing Carolina Herrera. And this, I have never seen so many flowers in one spot in my entire life. This dress was just encrusted with flowers. Every inch of that fabric was just flowers. It was just horrible. It was horrible. I would have rather have seen that dress just to be plain black, white, or even red, but
Yeah, a
just
solid color would have made a difference. Yeah, if it
absolutely,
were a solid color. I'm
absolutely.
surprised. I don't want to talk over you, but I am surprised you didn't agree with me on one last person that had a miss. I have to put my 2 cents in on this one. I
Absolutely.
love Lupita, but I don't know who dressed her. The Lupita had her little breastplate thing on, and it was silver, but they put the breasts in the middle of her stomach. It just was not a good look, like a bad statue. So beautiful woman, her skin tone, she can play a lot of different things, and what she chooses to wear. But I don't know what was going on. Like she was going to war with that breastplate on and the tailored black trousers. So
Yeah,
I'm surprised I didn't make your list.
well, I think with it being New York, I think the people in New York, when it comes to the Tonys, seem to be a little bit more fashion forward. Um, Tom Ford did a similar breastplate 5 years ago in one of his collections, and it did not go over well. So I really don't. And I, like you said, I love Lupita,
Mhm.
beautiful woman. I mean, beautiful. I mean, a former model, so she has great fashion sense. And I do agree with you with this one. I just do. But I would like to just mention two men that
Yeah.
were dressed impeccable. Common, the rapper, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. He was dressed, he was wearing Tom Ford, and it was classical Tom Ford. It was a peak lapels, it would have the ticket pocket. The fit was perfection. I mean, the length, I hate when men wear their dress pants too, they have too much of a break. It should have no break. He was just dressed impeccably. And Luke Evans was another one. He was wearing Dolce and Gabbana. Again, just perfection. It was a classical
There was
tuxedo.
someone that had gym shoes on with their tux that kind of threw me. I can't think of which one it was, but Common makes everything look good. So he's just a nice fit,
Yeah,
athletic kind of guy. So
yes,
he could
he
put on a
does. Yeah.
sackcloth and make that look good for fashion. But I agree, very well dressed. And most of the men did pretty good, except for I can't recall who it was that just had to come out in his Chuck Taylors with his tux.
But a lot of guys have been doing that, you know, at award shows. I mean, it's usually the younger guys that are doing like the Nikes, the Converse, and the Air Force Ones, and all of that. But I just think classic, traditional, and elegance. And Common and Luke Evans, they did it. They did it just beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the men are finally finding out what we women have known all along. Some of those expensive, beautiful shoes hurt. They hurt your feet. So if they're gonna be on your feet all night for an award ceremony, hello, Chuck Taylors. Okay, put them on.
Yes, because that could be another option, right? To wearing a beautiful gown and then put on some Chuck Taylors underneath it.
Hey,
You don't.
Whoopi's done it before. Come on now, Whoopi
Oh
did it
yeah,
a few years.
Whoopi's done it many times.
Yeah.
She's done it many times.
So the
Many,
guys are
many
catching
times.
on. If they're gonna be at the Tonys all night, they're gonna be comfortable. So I won't hate on them for wearing the Chuck Taylors.
Yeah, it goes, but I still prefer the traditional classical tuxedo shoes. But I get it, I get it. But the Tonys are just a little different than the Oscars, because it's in New York. And I don't know, I think I just expect so much more as far as the fashion with
Mhm.
the Tonys, because New York is on the cutting edge of fashion. That's where things begin, when it comes to fashion. And then some of these people, they just don't get it. I don't know what it is. I just don't know
Yeah.
why they don't get it.
Well, thank you so much, Patrick. This has been wonderful chatting with you. Like I said, usually we're right on point, 3 for 3. So I think we're on the same page. But it was wonderful to see the red carpet, all the great fashion, and everybody was so beautiful. The diversity, all of that. So every year the carpet gets more and more interesting, and we hope to have you back for the next award show. We've got the Emmys coming up soon, so you can join us for that and let us know the hits and misses on the Emmys.
Looking forward to it, Portia. And as always, it's fabulous to talk with you about fashion.
Thank you so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, Portia, that was another great show as always. We like to thank theater critic Gage Tarlton for sharing his valuable insight about the Tony Awards and the fact that he lives in New York and sees a lot of these shows and performances, makes his commentary and insight so valuable to us. But guess what? We're going to hear from him again a lot sooner than you think, because he is also an expert with television. The Emmy nominations come out in July, and we will hear from Gage again to get his thoughts on the nominations and his predictions on who should and will walk away with the Emmy Award. Also, we would like to thank fashion critic and fashion expert Patrick Mayze. He is always on point with his commentary, and as always, he did a great job sharing his critiques of fashion at the Tony Awards this year.
Well, next time, everyone can join us as we explore all the creatives that are just one award away from their EGOT status.
As always, we thank you so much for watching us.
Peace.